Hello, this is Chris. This is my setup.
Why I chose this case was because that it had a nice big red fan in the front, and you can't go wrong with that. The green light that you see in there are some LED lights that I can change to different colors. Another reason why I got this case was because of the glass side panel, but where I have it, it's kind of hard to see it where I have it in the deck. I also got a case fan for this case. I haven't installed it yet because I want to see what it's like without the fan, and then I'll install it and see all the differences after that. Moving on to the motherboard, I wanted something that was VR ready and that could support DDR4 RAM, so this worked out great. Based on my budget, I went with another i5 processor, the 7500. I'm totally happy with it, and it's doing everything that I need at the moment. I'm also using the same default fan because I want to test the statistics before and after. Next, let's look at the RAM. I got 16 gigabytes of ballistic DDR4 RAM, and that's more than enough for me. Next up, the graphics card. Actually, with this graphics card, the RX 480 4G, I was thinking about doing an Crossfire configuration, but I'm deciding against that at the moment because again, I want to test it as is before I put new fans in there, before I start thinking about upgrading this graphics card or using another 4G RX 480. So I know I could have gotten the 8 gigabyte one, but this was good enough for me, and again, I want to constantly upgrade. Next up, the memory. I got a Seagate 1 terabyte internal hard drive, and I also have a solid state drive, I think like 240 gigabytes. I just had it lying around, and for right now, that's good enough for me. I am thinking about getting an M.2 drive or use one of those memory drives that go into the PCIe lane. I heard that those type of memory cards are much faster than a solid state drive and an M.2 drive. So that's if I don't do a crossfire formation with the graphics cards. Next up, the power supply. I went with the popular brand, an EVGA brand. That's 650 watt BQ, 80 plus, and I heard you can't go wrong with that. So the stuff that we don't have in there yet are the fans. I don't have a case fan in the back, and I don't have a heavier duty CPU fan. I want to test out where I'm at now with stock stuff, and then I want to compare the statistics when I install this stuff. So first up, I want to show you what I look at idle, and pretty much I'm sitting pretty good at around 53 degrees on the graphics card, and more or less the same for the CPU on average. This is when I'm at idle, and I did try another benchmark test with Heaven, so let's take a look at that. So I compared my benchmark with someone that had a GTX 1080, and for the most part the RX 480 and my i5 processor are, you know, sitting pretty good. I mean this is just so much better than my Surface Pro 2, and thanks to Surface Pro Gamer, I was still able to game at a decent frame rate. But now I've definitely, you know, jumped a few pegs, and it's holding its own for the most part. And I can't go wrong there. I can always upgrade. So in a nutshell, this is my basic setup. I have a kind of like a fold-out wall to divide my office space with the living room. Bear in mind, I do live in Italy, so lots of small places, but you know, I was able to create this setup. This setup pays the bills basically. I do a lot of online teaching, and I need a decent microphone. And I know it's not the best, but it was within my budget. And anyway, let's go over some of the stuff that I have connected to my computer. This is my best webcam at the moment from Logitech. Can shoot in 1080p. I also have a Microsoft 720p camera, but it zooms in and zooms out, and I mostly use that for surveillance, but it's really not worth it to show that one. My monitor is an LG Flatron D2242. It is Cinema 3D ready. It uses polarized 3D glasses, and this is just a 1080p panel, nothing special. I also have a LG Blu-ray 3D ready disc player, and I use this for all my DVDs that are Blu-ray or that are 3D, like Avatar. And so yeah, in order to do the 3D stuff, you need to have a monitor that can handle it, a GPU that can handle it, and then also a DVD player that can handle it unless you download it. To finish quickly, I have a Trust microphone, a Trust speaker system, nothing special with that. And what else? There's my Surface Pro 2, and my LED light setup, nothing special. So first up, why did I upgrade? Well, I wanted to render videos faster. I was using my Surface Pro 2 for the longest time, and it was doing it. It was definitely capable. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it would kick it in high gear and go for it. Did get a bit, a bit hot, but it handled it. Pretty much all of my uh, drone vlog videos where I was just showing off my flights, it handled it just fine. And but it was still taking a long time. So that could have been a software issue too. But it was time to upgrade. I wanted a basically a workstation, and I do have the docking station for the Surface Pro 2, and it's worked great. And now I'm using that as more of an entertainment center, and I'm still working on that. I want to use Cortana, where I could wake it up and start connecting to the television, and I'm doing that via Miracast. So it's a great tablet hybrid. It still has lasted. When did I get it? 2013. So that was thanks to Barnarcules, Nerdgasm, and he did a video on that, and that from then on helped me, do a lot of my online lessons and teaching over here in Italy. And bear in mind, I'm in Italy, so this is my setup, and I have to be compact but easily mobile. Like if I have to change my office just like that, I can just take everything and move. I do want to upgrade my monitor. I do want to upgrade the fans, and I have those already, but again, I want to push it a bit more, and then I want to see the benefits of me putting on the CPU cooler and the extra fan. So I've got it at idle, but and I've done a heaven benchmark, but I want to try it under heavy load again. And the games I've been playing are Diablo 3, Doom, um, this other game that's similar to Quake. Well, Doom is pretty much like that. But I do want to play more games, but I have a family of 5. I have 3 sons, so that's kind of difficult. But where I really do see the difference is when I'm rendering, my drone flights or these particular vlogs. It's just it's a lot faster. It's a lot faster. I also do not have my own mandan, so you do hear a lot of background noise. This is again just a divider that divides my little office space from the living room, and this is what I have to do right now. We're trying to cut our costs and everything, and we're investing where we need to. As far as software and everything, I'm still, you know, messing with Cyberlink and Filmora and some other software for rendering my videos. But again, I'm not gonna comment too much on that because I'm still tinkering with it, and I could always pay the monthly fee for Adobe Photoshop, but I'm still looking for alternatives because I'm trying to budget everything. So after all my testing and everything, and I finally put in the new fans, test that, of course. But the next upgrades, I mentioned a couple like my monitor and stuff, but I want to get an M.2 drive, and I also want to try this PCIe. It goes in where the graphics card goes. Uh, anyway, that's kind of like a M.2, but it goes there, and I guess it's just a tiny bit faster than the M.2, and then obviously faster than the solid state drive. I'm considering that, and I think I mentioned that in earlier part of the video, um, unless I'm going to do a crossfire configuration with getting another RX 480 4G, but maybe I'll just get a GTX 1080 Ti or something like that and just go to that extreme. But right now I'm quite happy where I'm at. I showed you the Heaven benchmark. It was pretty competitive. uh, I don't want the best of the best. I want something that's going to future proof me for a while, and then maybe I can save up and upgrade again. I mean, I've been one of those people where I got to get a new phone every 6 months or something like that. Just I've had every Note, every Samsung Note known to man. But then I stopped at Samsung Galaxy Note 4, and I was gonna wait for the Note 7, I guess, right? But we all know how that went. But I'm really glad I didn't go to the Note 5. I did get my hands on one. My dad got it, and I was just kind of bummed that it didn't have the removable back, so you couldn't replace the batteries and everything. And I ultimately got an S7 Edge, and that's been a great phone. I don't think I'm going to be upgrading to the S8. Maybe the Note 8. That's where I would probably switch. But other than that, I was mentioning future-proofing myself. Um, the Surface Pro 2, right? I've had it since 2013, more or less, and it's still doing well. Um, I didn't go get the Surface Pro 3 or the Surface Pro 4 or the Surface Pro 5 because it's still hanging in there, and Surface Pro Gamer is still uh, using the basic specs of this device from time to time, and it's still hanging in there with solid frame rates, and that's important to me. Okay, it's time to put my son to sleep now. But if you guys have any comments and or suggestions of what I should do for the future, where I should put the case fan, I could put it on top or in the back. So, and I don't really have the equipment to test that, but I can test the temperatures, and that's about it. The temperature thing I'm using is just a generic um, app that I got for Windows that's testing it. And if you would like to know that name, I just don't want to mess up what I have going on right now. But if you want to know that, leave a comment, and maybe I'll get to it if I have time. So anyway, good night, everybody, and more videos are coming, baby.